The space station was huge. Captain Junho Kim walked through the busy halls, his old boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. People from many different planets moved around him. Some had blue skin, others had extra arms, and a few had eyes that glowed in the dark. They all looked at him like he was dirt. Junho did not care. He was tired, very tired. He had been fighting in space wars for 3 years. Now he just wanted to go home to Earth. His uniform was old and had holes in it. His face had scars from battles, but he was still alive, and that was what mattered. He walked to the big ship called the Stellar Majesty. It was shiny and new. Rich aliens walked up the ramp with their expensive bags. Junho looked at his ticket. It said he could sit in the VIP section because he was a military officer. He smiled a little. Maybe he could finally rest in a good seat. The ticket desk was at the front of the ship. Behind it stood a tall alien with 4 eyes and purple skin. His name tag said Krelfin. He wore a fancy uniform with gold buttons. When he saw Junho coming, his face changed. His 4 eyes looked angry. "Next," Krelfin said in a cold voice. Junho walked up to the desk. He put his ticket in military. Papers on the counter. "Hello, I have a VIP ticket. I am Captain Kim from Earth Defense Force." Krelfin looked at the papers. He picked them up like they were trash. His 4 eyes moved up and down as he read. Then he looked at Junho with hate. "No," Krelfin said. He threw the papers back at Junho. "No seats for your kind." Junho blinked. "But my papers are correct. I am a military captain. The rules say I can sit in VIP." "Rules?" Krelfin laughed. It was not a nice laugh. These are rules for real people, not for dirty humans. Other aliens in line started to look. Some began to whisper. Junho felt his face get hot, but he stayed calm. "I paid for this ticket," Junho said quietly. "I followed all the rules." Krelfin stood up. He was very tall. "Listen, human. This ship is for civilized beings only. Look at you. Your clothes are dirty. You smell like an animal. You probably eat with your hands like a baby." More aliens stopped to watch. A group of blue-skinned Zephyrians in silk clothes pointed at Junho and giggled. A rich Nexiri merchant with golden jewelry shook his head and made a face like he smelled something bad. "Perhaps," Krelfin said louder so everyone could hear, "you would be more comfortable in the cargo hold with the other primitive things." The aliens laughed. Some made jokes in their own languages. Junho understood some of the words. They were not nice words. "Sir," Junho said, still calm, "I just want to go home. I have been fighting for 3 years. I am very tired." "Fighting?" A tall Altarian woman with silver hair laughed. "What can a human fight? Humans are weak. Everyone knows this. You probably ran away from every battle." "Yes," said a fat Nexari man with many gold rings. "Humans are cowards. They hide behind big ships and let real warriors do the fighting." Junho's hands made fists, but he did not move. He had learned to control his anger long ago. Getting angry would not help. Krelfin smiled. His teeth were sharp. "I tell you what, human. I will give you a ticket. But not for VIP. You can sit in the back with the refugees and workers. That is where you belong." He put a different ticket on the counter. It was for the cheapest seats on the ship. "Take it or leave it," Krelfin said. "But do not waste my time. Real passengers are waiting." Junho looked at the ticket. Then he looked at all the aliens watching him. They expected him to get angry. They expected him to make a scene. Some looked like they wanted him to try to fight so they could call security. Instead, Junho picked up the cheap ticket. "Thank you," he said quietly. Krelfin looked surprised. "What? That is all? You are not going to cry about it?" "No, sir," Junho said. "I just want to go home." He picked up his bag and walked away. Behind him, the aliens laughed and made more jokes. Stupid human, someone said. They have no pride, said another. Like animals, said a third. Junho kept walking. He did not look back, but someone was watching him very carefully. Dr. Mina Park stood near a window, reading a book about alien plants. She was human too, but she dressed like the aliens. She wore expensive clothes and jewelry so they would respect her. It worked most of the time. Mina saw everything that happened. She saw how the aliens treated Junho, but she also saw something else. Something that made her heart beat fast. When Junho walked past her, she looked at his uniform. Most people only saw the holes and stains, but Mina saw the patches and medals. She saw the small badges that showed where he had fought. And she saw one badge that made her mouth open in shock. It was a small black star with silver edges. Very few people knew what it meant. Mina only knew because her brother was in the military. He had told her about the badge. It was only given to soldiers who did something very special. Something that saved many lives, but there was more. On Junho's shoulder was a unit patch. It was faded and hard to read, but Mina could see the letters, 442nd Special Operations. Mina's book fell from her hands. The 442nd was famous. Every human knew the stories. They were the unit that fought in the worst battles. They were the unit that never gave up. They were the unit that made alien enemies run away in fear. And Junho Kim was one of them. Mina watched him disappear into the cheap section of the ship. She looked back at Krelthin, who was now helping a rich alien with many bags. He was smiling and bowing like a servant. "You fool," Mina whispered. "You have no idea what you just did." Near the back of the line, an old alien veteran named Rickstar was also watching. He had scars on his face and arms. He had fought in many wars. When he saw Junho's uniform, his old eyes went wide. He knew what those badges meant too. Rickstar had fought against humans before. It was not something he liked to remember. He had seen what human soldiers could do when they stopped being nice. It still gave him nightmares. "By the gods," Rickstar whispered. "That is no ordinary soldier," but Krelthin did not notice. He was too busy counting the money from the rich passengers. He did not see the fear in Rickstar's eyes. He did not see the shock on Mina's face. He only saw a dirty human who knew his place. As the ship prepared to leave, Junho found his seat in the back. It was small and hard. The other passengers in the cheap section were refugees and workers. They looked as tired as he felt. An old Korean woman named Yuna Choi sat next to him. She had kind eyes and gray hair. "They were very mean to you," she said softly in Korean. Junho looked at her and smiled for the first time that day. "It is okay, grandmother. I am used to it." "You should not have to be used to it," Yuna said. "You are a good man. I can see it in your eyes." Junho did not answer. He looked out the small window as the ship left the station. Soon he would be home. Soon he could rest. He closed his eyes and tried to sleep, but in his dreams he saw fire and blood. He saw alien ships exploding. He saw things that would make the laughing passengers upstairs wake up screaming. The ship flew into space, carrying its passengers toward their destinations. None of them knew that death was following them. And none of them knew that their salvation sat in the cheapest seat on the ship, dreaming of war. The Stellar Majesty was the biggest ship Junho had ever been on, but he was stuck in the worst part of it. The cheap seats were in the back, near the engine room. The walls were gray metal and the lights were dim. It smelled like oil and old air. Junho sat in his small seat next to Yuna Choi, the old Korean woman. Across from them sat a young man with messy hair and dirty work clothes. He kept looking at Junho like he knew him. "Are you okay?" the young man finally asked in Korean. "Those aliens were very rude to you." "I am fine," Junho said. "What is your name?" "Taijin Wu," the young man said. I fix engines on spaceships. I was working on a station near the war zone. He paused. I saw soldiers there sometimes. They looked like you. Junho nodded, but did not say more. Taijin seemed nice, but Junho had learned not to talk about his work. It only caused problems. Around them sat other passengers who could not afford the good seats. There were green-skinned workers from the mining planets. There were families of refugees running from wars. There were old aliens who had no money left. They all looked tired and sad, but up front, in the VIP section, things were very different. The rich passengers had big rooms with soft beds. They had windows that showed the stars. They had robots that brought them food and drinks. They laughed and talked loudly about their money and their important jobs. Captain Velthari walked through the VIP section like a king. He was a Zephyrian with blue skin and silver hair. His uniform was perfect and clean. He smiled at the rich passengers and bowed to them. "Welcome to the Stellar Majesty," he said in a smooth voice. "We will take good care of you. Only the best for our important guests." The passengers loved it. They felt special and important. In the dining room, the VIP passengers ate expensive food. They drank wine that cost more than most people made in a year. And they talked about how much better they were than everyone else. "Did you see that dirty human today?" asked the Altarian woman with silver hair. Her name was Lady Xeris. "He thought he could sit with us." "How funny," the other passengers laughed. "Humans are so stupid," said the fat Nexari merchant. His name was Golder. "They think they are equal to real people, but look at them. They are just smart animals." "I heard," said a thin Zephyrian man, "that humans eat their own food with their hands like babies." "Disgusting," said Lady Xeris. "And they smell bad too." That soldier smelled like a wet dog. They all laughed again. They thought they were very funny, but not everyone was laughing. In a corner of the dining room sat an old alien with scars all over his face and arms. His name was Rixtar. He was a veteran of many wars. He had fought for over 50 years. Rixtar ate his food quietly and listened to the rich passengers make their jokes, but his old eyes were worried. He kept thinking about the human soldier he had seen. Something about that man made his skin crawl. The uniform, the badges, the way he walked. Rixtar had seen soldiers like that before. A long time ago. It was not a good memory. "Sir Rixtar," Lady Xeris called out, "you are a great warrior. Tell us about fighting humans. I bet they run away like scared children." Rixtar looked up slowly. His old eyes were dark. "I do not like to talk about war," he said quietly. "Oh, come on," said Golder. "We want to hear how weak humans are in battle." Rixtar put down his fork. "Humans are not weak," he said. The room got quiet. Everyone stared at him. "What do you mean?" Lady Xeris asked. "Everyone knows humans are the weakest race in the galaxy." Rixtar shook his head. "You know nothing about humans." "Nothing at all. But they are primitives," said the thin Zephyrian. "They just learned to fly in space. They have no real weapons. They have no real armies." "You think that," Rixtar said. "Many people think that. Until they meet humans in a real fight." He stood up slowly. His old body hurt, but his voice was strong. "I fought in the border wars," he said. "I saw what humans do when they are angry. I saw what they do when their friends are hurt. It is not something you want to see." The rich passengers looked confused. This was not what they wanted to hear. "You are just old," Golder said with a laugh. "You are scared of everything now." Rixtar stared at him with cold eyes. "Maybe, but I am alive. Many of my friends who fought humans are not." He walked away, leaving the rich passengers confused and quiet. Back in the cheap section, Junho was trying to sleep, but the engines were loud and his seat was hard. Yuno was knitting something with blue yarn. Taijin was reading a book about engines. "Captain Kim," Taijin said quietly, "can I ask you something?" Junho opened his eyes. What? I heard the aliens talking about humans being weak. But that is not true, is it? Junho looked at the young man for a long time. Why do you ask? Because, Taijin said, I saw human soldiers at the station. They did not look weak. They looked dangerous. Yuna stopped knitting. She was listening too. Humans are not weak, Junho said finally. But we are not strong in the way aliens think. We are strong in different ways. What ways? Taijin asked. Junho closed his eyes again. We do not give up, ever. When aliens lose a battle, they retreat and try again later. When humans lose a battle, we get angry. And when humans get angry... double quotes, he did not finish the sentence. What happens when humans get angry? Yuna asked softly. Junho opened his eyes. They were very cold, like winter stars. Bad things. Very bad things. The ship flew through space, carrying its passengers toward their destinations. In the VIP section, the rich aliens went back to their jokes and their expensive food. They had already forgotten about the old warrior's words, but in the ship's computer room, something was wrong. The navigation officer, a young Zephyrian named Kes, was looking at his screens with worry. Captain Valthari, he called on his radio. We have a problem. What kind of problem? The captain asked. There are ships following us. 3 of them. They are trying to hide, but I can see them on the long-range sensors. Captain Valthari came to the computer room quickly. He looked at the screens. Are you sure? Yes, sir. They have been following us for 2 hours. They stayed just out of normal sensor range, but they are there. The captain's blue face went pale. Pirates? I think so, sir. The ships look like Corvan raiders. Captain Valthari felt sick. Corvan pirates were the worst in the galaxy. They killed everyone on the ships they attacked. No one ever survived a Corvan attack. How long until we reach the next station? He asked. 12 hours, sir. Can we go faster? No, sir. We are already at maximum speed. The captain looked at the screens again. The 3 dark shapes were getting closer. Should we send a distress signal? Kes asked. Not yet, the captain said. Maybe they will leave us alone. We are a passenger ship. We are not carrying anything valuable. But he was wrong. The Covans were not interested in cargo this time. They had heard about the passenger list. They knew there were rich aliens on board. Rich aliens meant good ransom money, and they had no idea that death was sitting in the cheap seats, dreaming of home. The hunt was about to begin. The ship shook like a giant hand was shaking it. People screamed. Things fell from shelves and tables. The engines made a terrible sound and then stopped. Junho woke up fast. His soldier training kicked in. He looked around the dark room. Emergency. Lights came on, making everything red. What is happening? Yuna asked. She was scared. Pirates, Junho said quietly. He helped her sit up. Stay calm. Taijin was on the floor. He had hit his head when the ship stopped. Blood ran down his face. The engines, he said. Something hit the engines. A voice came over the ship's speakers. It was Captain Valthari, but he sounded very scared. All passengers stay in your seats. We are having some technical problems. Do not panic. Everything will be okay. But everything was not okay. On the bridge, Captain Valthari stared at his screens in horror. 3 huge ships surrounded the Stellar Majesty. They were black and covered in spikes. They looked like giant metal monsters. Corvan raiders, Kes whispered. We are all dead. Send the distress signal, the captain ordered. Send it now. I cannot, sir. They are jamming all our communications. The biggest Corvan ship moved closer. Lights flashed on its side. Captain Valthari knew what that meant. They were getting ready to board. Sir, said another officer. They are demanding. We surrender. If we fight, they will kill everyone. Captain Velthari closed his eyes. He was a good captain, but he was not a warrior. "Open the airlocks," he said quietly. "Let them board." In the VIP section, the rich passengers were not laughing anymore. Lady Zaris was crying. Golder was shaking. Like a leaf, the thin Zephyrian had fainted. "This cannot be happening," Lady Zaris sobbed. "I am too important to die. My family will pay ransom. They have lots of money." "Corvins do not take ransom," said a quiet voice. Everyone turned. It was Rixtar, the old warrior. He sat in his chair like nothing was wrong, but his old eyes were full of sadness. "What do you mean?" Golder asked. "Corvins kill everyone," Rixtar said. "They do not leave witnesses. It is their way." The rich passengers screamed louder. Metal feet walked through the halls. The sound got closer and closer. Then the doors exploded. Corvin warriors came in like a black wave. They were huge, covered in armor that looked like bug shells. Their faces were hidden behind masks with red eyes. They carried big guns that glowed with energy. "Everyone on the floor," one of them shouted. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. The passengers fell down. Some were crying. Some were praying. Some were just shaking. The Corvin warriors looked around the room. They pointed their guns at different people. One of them grabbed Lady Zaris by her hair and lifted her up. "This one looks rich," he said. "She will die slowly." Lady Zaris screamed. Then the biggest Corvin walked in. He was taller than the others. His armor was covered in skulls. On his chest was a medal made from the bones of his enemies. This was War Chief Vexmore. He was the most feared pirate in the galaxy. He had killed thousands of people. Whole planets knew his name and shook with fear. "Pathetic," he said, looking at the scared passengers. "Rich aliens who think they are so important. Now you will learn what real power is." He walked slowly around the room. His red eyes looked at each person. He was deciding who to kill first. "You," he said, pointing at Golder. "You look fat and soft. I will enjoy cutting you apart." Golder fell to his knees. "Please, I have money. I can pay you." "I do not want your money," Vexmore said. "I want your pain." He raised his gun. The energy began to glow brighter. Then the door opened again. Someone walked in. It was a human man in an old uniform. He was not running or screaming. He just walked in like he was going to a meeting. It was Captain Junho Kim. "Excuse me," Junho said politely. "You are making too much noise. People are trying to rest." Everyone stared at him. The rich passengers thought he was crazy. The Coven warriors thought he was stupid. Even Rixtar looked surprised, but War Chief Vexmore did something strange. He stopped moving. His gun began to shake in his hands. "Impossible," he whispered. Junho looked at him. His eyes were calm and cold. "Hello, Vexmore." "It has been a long time." The war chief took a step back. Then another step. His red eyes got wide with fear. "You are dead," he said. "I saw the reports. You died at Kepler 442. Reports can be wrong," Junho said. The other Corvin warriors looked confused. Their leader was afraid of a single human. This made no sense. "Sir," one of them asked, "should we kill him?" "No," Vexmore shouted. "Do not touch him. Everyone back away." Now the rich passengers were really confused. A few minutes ago, this human was denied a seat because he was primitive. Now the scariest pirate in the galaxy was afraid of him. "Who are you?" Lady Zaris whispered. Junho looked at her. "I am Captain Kim. I told you that before." "But why is he afraid of you?" she asked. Junho looked back at Vexmore. The war chief was still backing away. "Because," Junho said quietly, "we have met before." "Haven't we, Vexmore?" The war chief's armor was shaking now. "The ghost of Kepler 442, he whispered. "You are the ghost." Rixtar's old eyes went wide. He knew that name. Every warrior in the galaxy knew that name. It was a legend. A story told to scare young soldiers. 15 years ago, an entire Corvan invasion fleet had disappeared. 200,000 warriors. Gone without a trace. Only broken ships and one radio message remained. "This is Captain Kim. Threat eliminated. No one knew what happened." The Corvan Empire said it was an accident. But the warriors knew better. They knew someone had destroyed their entire fleet. Someone who fought like a demon. Someone who left no survivors. They called him the ghost of Kepler-442. And now he was standing in front of them. "Please," Dexmore said. His voice was shaking. "We did not know you were here. We will leave. We will never come back." "Too late," Junho said. His voice was still calm, but something had changed. The air felt colder. The lights seemed dimmer. "You scared these people. You made them cry. You threatened to hurt them." He took a step forward. "I do not like it when people hurt innocent people." The Corvan warriors began to back away. They were the most feared pirates in the galaxy, but right now they looked like scared children. Dexmore dropped his gun. "We are leaving, right now. We will not bother you again." "No," Junho said. "You are not leaving." He smiled. It was not a nice smile. "We are going to finish what we started at Kepler 442. The lights went out again. In the darkness, someone screamed. It was not a human scream. When the lights came back on, War Chief Dexmore was on his knees. His warriors were on the floor, their weapons scattered around them. None of them were moving. Junho stood in the middle of the room like nothing had happened. His old uniform was still clean. His hands were empty. But somehow, in just a few seconds, he had defeated the most dangerous pirates in the galaxy. "How?" Lady Zaris whispered. Junho looked at her. "Practice," he said simply. The rich passengers stared at him with new eyes. This was not the dirty human they had laughed at. This was something else. Something that made their skin crawl with fear. "Who are you really?" Golder asked. His voice was shaking. "I told you, I am Captain Kim." "But what does that mean?" Lady Zaris asked. Old Rixtar stood up slowly. His scarred face was pale. "It means," he said quietly, "that we are all very lucky to be alive." He walked over to Junho and bowed deeply. "I fought at the Battle of Rigel Prime. I saw what humans could do when they stopped playing nice. But I never thought I would meet the ghost himself." "Ghost?" the thin Zephyrian asked. Rixtar looked at the rich passengers. They still did not understand. 15 years ago, the Corvan Empire decided to invade human space. They sent their best fleet, 200,000 warriors, the most powerful ships. In their navy, he paused and looked at Junho. They attacked a small human colony called Kepler 442, just farmers and families. The colony had no defenses, no army. Just one small defense station with a few soldiers. "What happened?" Lady Zaris asked. "The entire Corvan fleet disappeared," Rixtar said. "Every ship, every warrior, gone." "That is impossible," Golder said. 200,000 warriors cannot just disappear." "They can," Rixtar said, "if they meet the right human." He pointed at Junho. One man destroyed an entire invasion fleet. The Corvan survivors called him the ghost of Kepler 442, the man who fights like death itself. The rich passengers looked at Junho with horror. This quiet, tired man in the old uniform had killed 200,000 enemies by himself. "I had help," Junho said quietly. "What kind of help?" asked the thin Zephyrian. "The colonists. They were just farmers, but they were human farmers. When the Corvans started killing their children, they got angry." Junho's eyes went cold again. "Humans do not like it when you hurt their children." He walked over to Dexmore, who was still on his knees, shaking. "Tell them what happened, Junho." "Side," Vexmore looked up with terrified eyes. We thought it would be easy. Humans were new to space. They had small ships and weak weapons. What could they do against the mighty Corvan Empire? His voice cracked. We were wrong, so very wrong. Tell them about the traps, Junho said. The asteroid field, Vexmore whispered. You turned the asteroid field into a weapon. You used the rocks as bullets. You made the space itself fight for you. Tell them about the fighters. The human. Pilots. They flew their ships into our engines. They crashed into our bridges. They sacrificed themselves to stop us. I had never seen such madness. It was not madness, Junho said. It was love, love for their families, love for their home. He looked at the rich passengers. That is what makes humans dangerous. We fight for each other. We die for each other. When you threaten one human, you threaten all humans. Lady Zaris was crying now. We did not know. We thought humans were weak. Humans are weak, Junho said. One-on-one, any of you could beat a human in a fight. You are stronger, faster, smarter. But humans do not fight one-on-one. He smiled again. It was still not a nice smile. Humans fight. Together, and when humans fight together, we do not lose. Taijin had been listening from the doorway. His young face was full of wonder and fear. Captain Kim, are you really the ghost? Junho looked at him. I am just a soldier who wants to go home. But the stories, Taijin said. They say you can walk through walls. They say you can kill with your bare hands. They say you can see in the dark, like a cat. Stories grow in the telling, Junho said. But some things are true. He walked over to a Coven weapon on the floor. It was a plasma rifle, one of the most dangerous guns in the galaxy. He picked it up and looked at it. This is a good weapon, he said, but it has a weakness. He pressed a button on the side. The gun made a beeping sound. What did you do? Golder asked. I turned on the self-destruct, Junho said. All Corvan weapons have them, in case their enemies try to use them. The gun exploded. But instead of hurting anyone, it just made a small puff of smoke. I also turned off the explosive, Junho said. I learned how to do that at Kepler 442. The rich passengers stared at him. He had taken apart an alien weapon in seconds, just by looking at it. How do you know so much about Corvan technology? Lady Zaris asked. I studied it, Junho said. I studied everything about my enemies. Their weapons, their ships, their tactics, their fears. He looked at Vexmore, especially their fears. Dr. Mina Park came running into the room. She had heard the noise and came to help. When she saw the scene, she stopped and stared. Captain Kim? She said. What happened here? Pirates, Junho said. They are leaving now. Mina looked at the scared Corvan warriors. Then she looked at the terrified rich passengers. Then she looked at Junho, standing calm in the middle of it all. You are him, she whispered. You are really him. The ghost of Kepler 442. Just a soldier, Junho said again. But Mina shook her head. No, you are the man who saved the galaxy. When the Covens invaded human space, they planned to keep going. They wanted to conquer everyone, but you stopped them. She looked at the rich passengers. He saved all of your worlds too. Your families. Your children. And you denied him a seat because he was human. The rich passengers looked ashamed. They had treated their savior like garbage. I am sorry, Lady Zaris said quietly. We did not know. You should not have to know, Junho said. You should treat all people with respect. Not because they are heroes, but because they are people. He looked around the room at all the faces watching him. I am going back to my seat now. I am tired. Wait, Golder said. What about them? He pointed at the Corvan warriors. They will leave, Junho said. And they will tell their friends to stay away from human ships. Won't you, Vexmore? The war chief nodded quickly. Yes, yes, we will leave. We will never attack humans again. Good, Junho said, because next time I might not be so nice. He walked toward the door. At the doorway, he stopped and looked back. The war is over, he said. I just want to go home and rest. Is that too much to ask? No one answered. They were all too amazed to speak. Captain Junho Kim, the ghost of Kepler 442, walked back to his cheap seat in the back of the ship. Behind him, the most feared pirates in the galaxy picked up their weapons and ran away like scared children. The legend was real, and he was tired of fighting. War Chief Vexmore and his warriors went back to their ships, but they did not fly away. Instead, they waited in the darkness of space, watching the stellar majesty. On the bridge of his flagship, Vexmore paced back and forth like a caged animal. His officers watched him with worried eyes. Sir, one of them said, should we retreat? The ghost is on that ship. I know who is on that ship, Vexmore roared. He hit the wall with his fist, leaving a dent in the metal. Do you think I am blind? Then why do we not leave? Another officer asked. Vexmore stopped pacing. His red eyes glowed with hate. Because I have been running from that human for 15 years. Every night I dream of Kepler 442. Every day I remember how he made me look like a fool. He turned to face his officers. I am war chief of the Corvan Empire. I have conquered 100 worlds. I have killed 1 million enemies. I will not run from one tired old human. But sir, the first officer said, he destroyed our entire fleet at Kepler 442. That was 15 years ago, Vexmore said. He was young then, strong. Now he is old and tired. I saw it in his eyes. The officers looked at each other. They were not so sure. Besides, Vexmore continued, he is alone. At Kepler 442, he had help from the colonists. He had ships and weapons. Here, he has nothing but old humans and scared aliens. He smiled, showing his sharp teeth. We will attack again, but this time we will be ready for him. On the Stellar Majesty, things had changed. Word had spread through the ship about what happened in the VIP section. Everyone now knew that the quiet human in the cheap seats was the legendary ghost of Kepler 442. Captain Velthari came to find Junho personally. The proud Zephyrian captain looked very different now. His perfect uniform was wrinkled and his blue face was pale. Captain Kim, he said, bowing low. I want to thank you for saving my ship. Junho looked up from his book. The pirates are still here, Captain. What do you mean? They did not leave. Their ships are still out there, just outside. Sensor range. Vexmore is planning something. Captain Velthari's face went even paler. What should we do? Nothing, Junho said. Let me handle it. But you are just one man. They have 3 ships and hundreds of warriors. Junho closed his book and stood up. Captain, may I use your communication system? Of course. Anything you need. They went to the bridge together. The ship's officers stared at Junho with awe and fear. This was the man whose name was whispered in dark corners of the galaxy. Junho sat down at the communication console. His fingers moved over the controls like he had done this 1,000 times before. This is Captain Kim of the Earth Defense Force. He said into the microphone. War Chief Vexmore, I know you are listening. On the Corvan flagship, Vexmore grabbed the radio. I am here, Ghost. You have one chance, Junho said. Leave now, and I will let you live. Vexmore laughed. You think you can threaten me? You are alone, old man. No army, no ships, no colonists to help you this time. I do not need an army, Junho said calmly. We will see about that, Vexmore said. This time you die. The communication ended. Captain Velthari looked at Junho with worry. What do we do now? He asked. Now we wait, Junho said. He walked over to the ship's computer. His hands moved over the keyboard faster than anyone could follow. Numbers and symbols flashed on the screen. "What are you doing?" asked Kess, the young navigation officer. "Homework," Junho said. On the screens, information appeared about the Corvin ships, their weapons, their armor, their engine signatures. "Everything. How do you know all this?" Captain Velfari asked. "I told you," Junho said. "I studied my enemies." He finished typing and stood up. "Captain, I need you to do exactly what I say. Can you do that?" "Yes, sir." "Good. First, turn off all the lights on the ship. Make it look like we are dead in space. But the passengers will panic. Tell them it is a drill. Tell them anything, but turn off the lights." Captain Velthari gave the order. The ship went dark. "Now," Junho said, "wait for my signal. When I give it, you will fire the engines at maximum power, but not forward. Backward. Backward? But that will send us toward the Corvin ships." "Exactly." The bridge crew looked at him like he was crazy. But they had heard the stories. The ghost of Kepler 442 always had a plan. In space, the 3 Corvin ships began to move. They came closer to the dark passenger ship, thinking it was helpless. "Fools," Dexmore said. "They think hiding in the dark will save them." His ships surrounded the Stellar Majesty. They pointed all their weapons at it. "Fire when ready," Dexmore ordered. But before his ships could shoot, something impossible happened. The passenger ship suddenly blazed with light. But not normal light. This light was focused like a laser, pointed right at the Corvin ship's sensors. The Corvin warriors were blinded. Their screens went white. They could not see anything. "What is happening?" Dexmore screamed. "The ship is moving," one of his officers yelled. "It is coming right at us." The Stellar Majesty was flying backward at full speed, straight toward the Corvin flagship, but it was not going to crash. At the last second, it spun around and flew between the 3 enemy ships. "Impossible," Dexmore said. "No passenger ship can move like that." But Junho was not done. As the Stellar Majesty flew past the Corvin ships, something fell out of its cargo bay. Small objects that looked like space junk. What was that? "A Corvin," officer asked. The small objects stuck to the hulls of the 3 ships. Then they started beeping. "Mines," Dexmore realized. "He planted mines on our ships." The mines exploded. But they did not destroy the ships. Instead, they damaged the engines and weapons. The 3 Corvin ships were now floating helplessly in space. On the Stellar Majesty, Captain Velthari stared at the screens in amazement. "How did you do that?" "The cargo hold was full of mining equipment," Junho said. "I turned the mining charges into mines. Simple." "But how did you know exactly where their ships would be?" "Math," Junho said. "Corvin battle tactics are very predictable." The radio crackled. It was Dexmore, and he sounded very angry. "You think you have won, Ghost? We still have emergency power. We can still fight." "No," Junho said into the microphone. "You cannot." "What do you mean?" "Look at your oxygen levels." On the Corvin ships, alarms started ringing. The mines had not just damaged engines and weapons. They had also damaged life support systems. "You have about 1 hour of air left," Junho said. "Unless you surrender." Dexmore was quiet for a long time. Finally he spoke. "What do you want?" "Leave this sector. Never come back. And stop attacking innocent people. And if we agree, I will send you oxygen tanks and engine parts. You can repair your ships and go home." "Why would you help us?" Dexmore asked. "We tried to kill you." Junho was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was tired and sad. "Because I am tired of killing. I have killed enough people for 10 lifetimes. I just want to go home." An hour later, the Corvin ships were gone. They had agreed to Junho's terms and left with their tails between their legs. The rich passengers came to find Junho in his cheap seat. They brought gifts and apologies. Please, Lady Zara said, let us give you our best room. Let us serve you the finest food. It is the least we can do. No thank you, Junho said politely. I am comfortable here. But you saved us all, Golder sighed. You are a hero. I am a soldier, Junho said. I did my job. He looked at them with kind but tired eyes. If you want to thank me, just remember this. Do not judge people by how they look or where they come from. Judge them by what they do. The rich passengers nodded. They had learned an important lesson. As the ship continued its journey, word spread to every corner of the galaxy. The ghost of Kepler 442 was alive. He had shown mercy to his enemies and asked for nothing in return. Some people said he was a saint. Others said he was a demon. But everyone agreed on one thing. Humans were not what they seemed. When the Stellar Majesty finally reached Earth, Junho said goodbye to his new friends. Yuna gave him a hug. Taijin shook his hand. Even the rich passengers bowed to him as he left. Captain Velthari offered him free passage for life on any ship in the fleet. Dr. Mina Park asked for his autograph. But Junho just smiled and walked away. He had a small house in the mountains, far from the cities and the spaceports. There, he could sit on his porch and watch the stars. There, he could finally rest. But sometimes late at night, he would get messages on his old radio. Young human soldiers asking for advice. Alien diplomats asking for help with peace treaties. People who needed the ghost of Kepler 442. And sometimes, when the cause was just and innocent people needed help, Captain Junho Kim would put on his old uniform one more time. Because even ghosts have work to do. The end.